me a god. You call me a god. You call me a god. You call me a god.
Let's go. I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, got a filled up engine. In my thoughts, obsession. I will not stop, no, I'm never second guessing. I got a God complex. Haters love to hate, but I never feel pressed. Got a lot on my plate, but I never get stressed. I'll take all the pressure like I'm acing this test. Tear it up like I'm Jason. I see the world like it's ready for the taking. I see this place like a game I'm playing. Straight to the bank to collect my payments. No negotiations, it's my way, I was born impatient. And like a damn Freemason, I'll run this nation.
You call me a god. You call me a god. You call me a god. You call me a god.
I don't know how to stop. I just go till I drop. Whether it's working or shots, give it all that I got. You can watch me work in my element. Anyone in the way is irrelevant. You wanna cross me, cool, not intelligent. Cause I don't forget shit like an elephant. Go ahead and tempt me, put it on the line and you'll come up empty. If I got time, I'm deadly. Never caught off guard, no, I'm always ready. I got a hand real steady. Look me in the eye and you'll see no hezzy. About to get real messy. I'll put you in a grid 6 feet like Kenny.
You call me a god. You call me a god. You call me a god.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy Reckless Ray De Niro, and we are back at it again for another episode of Future Financial Strategies. There's a lot of energy in the air right now, folks. A lot of energy. There's a wealth transfer happening right now, folks. Whether you want to admit it or not, there is a new class of people that are being empowered and a class of people that power is being wrested from. But before we get into the talks about what I'm doing with my brokerage to position myself for the upcoming Bitcoin halving and the recently started Bitcoin bull run. Now everybody else is saying it's officially started. We've been in a bull run since, at minimum, December, in my opinion. Well, well, no, January was the official, because I look at it based on the income that you get from the cryptocurrency space. And once I see the numbers start flipping, it becomes bullish, in my opinion. But before we do that, we have to talk, because there are some people in these financial guru spaces that give mediocre advice. It's not terrible. I enjoy some of the conversations, and we're going to jump right into it with names, specifically Richard Fain, who have an opinion on the cryptocurrency space after gambling in the cryptocurrency space, which is something that he literally advocated against on the show that he specifically, and we will be doing a reaction to specifically the part where he talks about crypto, because I don't have any, I mean, he's super conservative, but he's old. Like, I understand old dudes gonna do what old dudes do. And you already got dog walked by Anton. I'm telling you, you don't want to mess with the crypto bros. That's all I'm saying. Because all of you are historically wrong about it, but like now that it's got legitimized by the SEC, you're coming back around, with the exception of you, Mr. Fain. And I respect people who stand on business, but ignorantly standing on business and then putting your business out there about how ignorant you are about the thing that you're talking about it's as bad. The last time I cringed this hard was when I watched Dave Ramsey tell a person to sell all their Bitcoin because it's a scam and it's going to zero. And that was probably, I'd say, 6 years ago. And we're gonna actually look at the numbers on how much money he lost that person. But to come in and have a bad experience because you did what you advocate against, which is gamble in the space. Gambling meaning Mr. Fain came in and his holdings in the cryptocurrency space were Shiba Inu and Dogecoin, two meme coins that everyone who knew anything about crypto knew were A, gambles, B, not necessarily buy and hold investments because they were just going to go up over the next decade. And he's talking about holding them for decades, like we're going to be buying stuff in Shiba Inu or Dogecoin. In the face of the fact that since its creation 15 years ago, Bitcoin has been the best performing asset on the planet. Nothing anyone else has done has performed better. No single buy and hold that you've got. He's excited about getting 20% from the S&P 1 year and 8% every other year. Bitcoin's averaged over 100% every single year for 15 years on average. Now, when I say on average, that doesn't mean that there weren't years where the price went down. But since Mr. Fain talks on long-term basis, you can take the average of Bitcoin, which spread out is well over 100% a year. And you take the S&P, which that's where they get the 8% from on average. It's 8% a year. That doesn't mean it goes up every single year, but on average, that's your marker. You're getting about 8%. There's not even a comparison. This is math. And this is the thing that I don't understand these gurus. And I do understand. It's because they sell you things. They need your money. So they can't give you the actual truth. Now, me over here on my little channel that's not monetized, that is sponsored. Shout out to Delta Investment Tracker app, which tracks both your traditional finance portfolio and your crypto portfolios. If you do not like to do like I do and add everything in manually, I don't add my brokerage trades manually. It automatically pulls those in, but you can connect your wallets to it and it'll handle all the stuff in the back end for you. But as stated, that's pretty interesting that, picking up a sponsorship before your channel's monetized. Pretty interesting partnership that we've got here. But that just goes to show the authenticity of the information that I'm giving, because people in the crypto space are coming to me that are actually in the space, right? Because I put in my 10,000 hours and I tend to not try to give horrible advice. I just track what I'm doing and we have the conversation and the context is there and the tools are given to give people their enough to let them go do their own research, which I definitely advocate, which you definitely advocate. But I also let people know, like, if you're going to gamble, treat it like gambling money. But considering your entire crypto portfolio that you're so salty about that you can't let go, because I know boomers don't forget anything. Now, y'all still mad about the cat drinking the milk out the damn bowl. But considering that you went and bought 2 gambles as a man who is rich, which is another thing. How is everything the 1%'s fault when you the 1%? Also, how are you the 1% and you still out here buying meme coins trying to get rich tomorrow like you poor? It is ridiculous. Like, leave that to the kids. You are too old, sir. You got more years behind you than you got ahead of you, sir. If you're going to get into the newfangled thing that the young hip kids are doing, do it appropriately. Just buy Bitcoin, maybe Ethereum. And if you're feeling spicy, so I want to get your blood pressure up too high, because I know how it is for you boomers. You guys get agitated, and the next thing you know, heart attack. But if you want some spice in your life, Chainlink, call it a day. You could have been winning. But no, you wanted to go in and gamble with the kids. You were trying to get rich tomorrow. You didn't do the research. You had to have had someone who also doesn't know what the hell they're doing in this space tell you to go buy those 2 coins, and then you doing what you told someone on the show that you brought this up for the umpteenth time that we're going to be doing a reaction to. Again, went and did what you tell everybody on your platform not to do in your space. Well, I'm going to tell you not to do it in my space, Mr. Fain. Because all of but 5 years that crypto has existed, I've been in these markets, sir. And I'm not just going to and I understand this isn't to specifically come at you outside of your continued disparagement of a space you know nothing about. You are ignorant of the cryptocurrency space beyond your involvement, which is very minimal because those 2 coins you probably bought on Coinbase or some other centralized platform. They sat there as the numbers went up, you got excited and you didn't sell when you should have sold. You also didn't tap into somebody who knew what they knew, so you didn't know what you didn't know, and then rode it into the bear market. And in the bear market, stuff crashes, and the stuff that has no actual use or actual value, since you like to talk about where the value comes from, we'll get into that here shortly, because I dedicated a whole section on this episode just for you, because what you said was so off kilter and off metric for things that are going on in this space. And you're only doing a disservice to your fan base, which is fine. Because over here in the cryptocurrency space, as we eat your lunch, as we rise from the ashes of your side of the fence, as we take that wealth that you're going to transfer over to us because it's going to get inflated right out from underneath you into our hands because we're positioned appropriately. We got a saying for people like you, Mr. Fain. It's called have fun staying poor. And it's not necessarily that you're going to stay poor because you're wealthy enough to probably ride this out to the end of your days and you'll be comfortable and fine. It's the people that you're influencing that are going to take your talking points, which are horribly wrong, and I'm either going to have to go through and re-educate them out of the terrible, non-thinking, non-researched statements that you've made, or your zealots, the people that have been rocking with you, that you know, they got the 8% and they felt real good about themselves, and now they think they know something because Richard Fain done told them that crypto's a scam. I'm going to have to tell them because they are probably poor. Your fan base is most likely not getting it. If they're following your advice to a T. I feel the same way about the people who follow Dave Ramsey. Like, you can tell, like, they're going to be on some metric of broke, and the only thing that you have is to talk disparagingly, because over on this side, over in the wolf pack, we are winning. We're winning. But I'm going to show you exactly how we're winning. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to bring to the front of the congregation the 13 hours ago, as of the time of this recording, news story. Now, what does this say? This is talking about BlackRock because we got the ETFs approved, which weren't needed, but definitely are helping. And what's happening? IBIT's total inflows surpass the $9 billion mark as prices plunged following Bitcoin taking out a record high above $69,000. Now, what that means is basically everyone who owns Bitcoin that is still holding Bitcoin, Mr. Fain, is in profit, except for 3% of people that bought at the very top of the last bull run 4 years ago. They're the last people to buy in. Now, one of the things that's interesting is you said there's no value in it. And I understand there's no value in the tokens that you bought, but there's 10,000 tokens in the cryptocurrency space. And I'm not even going to posit that most of them have value. Most of them don't, but quite a few of them do. Do you believe, Mr. Fain, that you are smarter than BlackRock that owns everything, including the houses, the evil army that you're talking about, just taking up the whole world? You think they're buying Bitcoin because they're stupid and you're smart? Or is you hating the cryptocurrency space, which Bitcoin is the daddy of the cryptocurrency space, Does that make you stupid and them smart? Like in regards to crypto, like I just need to know, like where are we coming from? What's the angle here? Or are you still just mad that you touched the stove and it was hot and you burnt yourself because you weren't doing what you were supposed to do? And you didn't come in from a place of trying to learn about the space, trying to understand what was going on. You just wanted to gamble with the kids, just feel young again. I get it. That's the first thing. So while we're looking at that, hold up. Let me pull this down here too, because we got to get this in here. So we're talking about that. We got the BlackRock Bitcoin ETFs, Merrill Lynch, and it was Merrill Lynch and somebody else. I can't even think of it off the top of my head right now. Got into and just approved for the Bitcoin ETFs to be approved for the retirement accounts. You boomers, not you, Mr. Fang, because you was rich to begin with, but most of these boomers, y'all about to run out of money. They trying to save your retirements any way possible. And guess what? Bitcoin's the answer. You're about to see crypto numbers in people's stock portfolios and brokerage accounts over the next 12 to 24 months. It's about to be insane. The standard and how those accounts are going to function, your retirement, your personal investment accounts, are about to change forever. The game is changing. Evolve or die. The meteor's coming. You are a dinosaur. Look to the heavens. Your savior has arrived. It's a big old meteor with a B on it. Bitcoin. It's coming for you. Like it or not. But I digress. Let's keep it moving. Let's look at the numbers, since he says Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies aren't worth anything. Let's share this tab. Mr. Fain, this is TradingView. You advocate as a financial advisor and planner. I'm sure you know about charts because you always talk about how the S&P does on average. And you know what? I just want to put these two charts next to each other, since he's saying that nothing beats the S&P 500, because he did say that in his show as well. S&P 500 TradingView. Let's go. Let us go. Okay. Let's take a look at it, because the S&P 500 got a nice chart. We're gonna bounce back in between these two charts. Let's see what's going on. So let's talk about. I'm going to share this chart first, just so that you can see how abysmally curb stomp the S&P 500 is. Like this is cute. This is cute, Mr. Fain. You know, 5 year, you're at a. Oh, wait a second. You guys beat us. The S&P beat us for the day. It's the only metric in which the S&P is winning right now. And we'll look at the all-time, if you were invested in S&P from the beginning, which was forever ago, they're up 113,339%, which is impressive. It's impressive. But like, let's go back 5 years. They're at 84.52%. 1 year, they're up 26%. My active crypto portfolio is over double that right now, just so y'all know. Year to date, 7.58%. Crushing that right now. 6 month, 14%. That's cute. Crushing that right now. 1 month. Okay, so let's just look at if you just bought Bitcoin, because I got a live representation of this for you. All time. 15 years. This was like when people were alive, Mr. Fain. You know, like not back when the first die was cast. 15 years. Oh, just changed a little bit. We are at 607,128% up. 5 years. 1,623% up. 1 year, 198% up. Year to date, 56% 55.63% up. 6 months, 155.47% up. 1 month, 55.16% up, Mr. Fain. Where are we going with this? Where are we going with this? You said nothing beats the S&P. Bitcoin has beat the S&P since it was made. Since it was made. Since when you guys were saying it was a scam, it was for women of the night and illicit dealers on the internet. Since the crypto bros became a thing, we've been winning. We've been winning. Lives are changing. Now, my life personally, Mr. Fain, and I understand it because I feel as positively towards crypto as you feel negatively because you had a bad experience. So let me break down my experience. 2013 was when I started in the space. At a crash. Right at the crash. 2012 halving. I was at the very end of that cycle, but we started hearing blurps about Bitcoin. Got into the space. Fast forward to the next halving, because Mr. Fain, this happens every 4 years. And I understand you say that there's a crash every year. That's every 4 years, sir, that the halving happens. And then at the end of the halving, that's when the crash happens. You bought at the peak, which was right before the crash, which is why, in your boomer mind, it happened yesterday. And then it just kept happening. Like, I understand. But I need you to sit down for a second, Peepaw, and let me tell you a story. So the next cycle after that was, what was that? 2012. So 2016 was the next bull cycle. Now, still didn't know what I was doing. Got into some other projects that weren't Bitcoin. Lost some money on paper. Still walked out in profit, but not as much as I should have because I didn't know what I didn't know. Just like you didn't know what you didn't know when you bought those Shiba Inu and Doge coins. But unlike you, I didn't sit there post that going, well, everything's a scam, because I did get out and I did walk with a little bit of profit, just not as much as I should have. Now, fast forward to 2020, I was able to get rid of all my credit card debt, which I had over $25,000 in credit card debt. Like, I was a financial nightmare, but I was working my way out. I was doing the process. I was doing the Dave Ramsey thing. I was paying the bills down, but I just couldn't peel myself away from this cryptocurrency space. So I diverged and evolved. And I was like, hey, if these credit cards that I'm managing, I just keep managing them for this window, prices are going up, and I'm making 100 and something % a month, and the credit cards are 27%. I understand compound interest, but I also know compound gains. Then I should just put all my money into this crypto thing and see what we can do. And so that's what I did. And it's funny because over the course of that bull run, I paid off all the credit card debt, got myself into a house, paid my car off. Crazy, right? Results. It's wild what happens when you get some results. Now, mind you, I've been putting in 8 years worth of work. Well, not quite 8 yet. I'd say like 6 or 7. Like, I've been in the markets during the downtimes when it's bad. Like, that's actually when you buy, is when the prices are down. You advocate for that. Got out of the crazy projects that I shouldn't have been in the first place. Unlike yourself, I actually went ahead and took my L's, rediverted those funds over to other things, and got myself networked with people who knew what the hell they were doing. And then I learned what the hell I was doing. And then that's 2020. So now we've secured housing, and you guys are telling people to not buy houses when we have an administration that's actively trying to make people own nothing and like it. And rent's going up 40% a year, and no one's pay is going up 40% a year. Most of y'all ain't even getting raises. Most of your people specifically are not getting raises. Like, let's keep it a stack. You got a lot of people, and I understand that y'all make content marketed to the lowest common denominator, but you guys are like low-key pushing an agenda, and I'm sick of it. I'm just sick of it. Like, the getting a house, and I understand now, because now it's too late. So you can be like, oh, well, like rent is and housing. Like, yeah, you're right. I just got my assessment for the property that I bought in 2020. And it's gone up another $30,000 from the county's assessment of it. That's on the low end. And I love it. But you know what I love more? The fact that my cost of housing has not gone up 40% in 6 months, 30% every year, 20% every year. We talking about inflation being down. Are rents down? Is rent inflation down? And when we talk about down, when they talk about the inflation rate going down, that means going down moving forward. The amount of inflation that we've jumped up, prices on stuff has not gone down. It's just not going up as fast anymore. People are drowning. But y'all telling everybody to go ahead and keep renting so that their rent can keep going up. That's insane. At this point in the game, like, yeah, if you're starting off right now, like, you got to work out a deal. Most of you have roommates anyways. You should be house hacking. Apparently, it's not cool to house hack moving forward, because, and I understand at boomer ages, I do get that. Like, I ain't trying to be a boomer house hacking, but you know what? Most of you are going to be boomers house hacking at this point in apartments. And y'all ain't even going to be house hacking. Y'all going to be stacked up in apartments that you don't own, that you get nothing out of. That's the next thing. But so we've looked at the difference between that and that. Now I want to show you some real world gains, and I'll show you how this works. Let's talk about it. This is the savings that I'm saving up for the next property. We're up 68.49% on this, and like, I can show you the buys. Now and this is another, like, I keep bringing this up because, like, I don't want people to think that, like, oh, I don't have enough money to start. First buy was $32. Second buy, $21. Third buy, $20. Then we jumped up to $158. That was the next buy. Now, this started in August of 2023 was when I was like, hey, I got to start putting money aside now. I'm making this move next year. We're either upgrading the current place that we're living and HELOCing that to get the next property, or we're just going to go buy the next property and keep the equity in this property and keep paying it down to get it lower. Not necessarily trying to rush to pay it off, but I do like keeping things manageable. And obviously the strategy for this property, we're trying to get, we're almost a quarter out. So we're going to have like a quarter of payments ahead on the mortgage. So 3 months. And then we will have the remainder of the year of a year. So it'll be a year total of leeway, but the remainder of the year we're going to have in the brokerage account. I picked out the stock that I'm going to use for that's going to be LTC, in the LTC position, because healthcare, passive income, have that stacked out just in case. Got a cushion in case something happens. And then we're going to rinse and repeat on the next property. But as we're cycling up here, these aren't swinging at the fence. This is called dollar cost averaging, another thing that Mr. Fain advocates for. But let's look at the results. The total cost of what we put in was, let's see here. Total cost was $3,000. Now, if you subtract fees from, obviously, transaction fee from that, but as we're sitting here, we're looking at it. If I would have just saved this up in cash in the bank, like the boomers recommend, you're saving up for a house, save it in cash. I was like, no, we're saving it in Bitcoin, and I do have after the next payday, it'll be $1,500 in the bank, which I'm probably going to buy another share of QQQ because we have a few more months left. But if I would have just saved this, I would have roughly $3,269.88. That's what I would have. Simply having it in Bitcoin, that savings position is at $5,526. That's $2,256 of growth over the time period. And this is one of the strategies that I was telling people. I was like, I don't advocate selling Bitcoin ever. And this is why. Because, and this is just to show you, like, hey, as a hyper accelerated savings account, I can get an additional chunk of money. Like, honestly, it would have been better off if I would have saved all of it in Bitcoin. That would have been a much better position than what I did. But diversification and hedging, just in case. But we save in the market. We don't have money sitting in cash. And the only reason we have stuff sitting in cash now is because I had to fire Citibank for not allowing me to buy Bitcoin ETFs in my brokerage account over there, because they have decided and taken a firm stance that they are going to be anti-crypto all the way through, probably where Mr. Fain banks and probably where he gets his investment advice from. Like, it's just, when people come at the space, crypto bros get defensive, especially when it's ill-informed. Like, these aren't even debatable things. This is just math. But I'll do you one better. So I gave you a look behind the veil on what I'm doing. Let's look at Mr. Fain's selections. Now, this is Shiba Inu, and over the year, they're at 191. Now they're bouncing back if you bought from the bottom. But good Lord, 2021, Mr. Fain was in it in 2020. Like, I mean, from the all-time low in 2020, I mean, it was almost worth it. Like, if you threw a couple of $100 at this after the crash, this could be a good play, because that's up a lot since then. But the numbers aren't looking too bad now, obviously going back into a bull run, but it's going to do the same thing again. Like, we're getting back into the bull run. Meme coins are going to have their run. Some of them are going to do better than others, but these are gambling coins. These are $150 coins. And look away and set a thing for 10,000% and see if something hits. These aren't coins you invest in for long terms. These are not investments. These are gambles. Let's look at Doge, his other coin that he's mad about. Doge, for a meme coin, not faring as well. But I mean, if we touch the previous all-time high again, that could be interesting. Again, $150 coin. These are gambles. These aren't throw large amounts of money in. And like, there's nothing about this that would make sense to me. And I told people that I had people mad at me because they were watching other people get money. And I was like, there's plenty of better ways to get money. There's better plays to be had in the cryptocurrency space. That's all I'm saying. Unless you don't know and you just listen to influencers on social media and don't do your due diligence, or you're listening to your cab driver, your Uber driver. And I was an Uber driver who knew what I was talking about, and I still wouldn't advocate to listen to any Uber driver during the time, like during the bull run. Like, everybody's going to be doing everything. I've seen people post some stuff that I'm just like, why are you interested in this coin? Like, it's going to the moon. And that's the answer. So I understand why you would have a perspective that there's no value in this space, Mr. Fain. And I'm going to leave that here, because I'm going to do a breakdown on the video that you made, and we're just going to use your words, and I'm just going to respond specifically to what you said. But I just wanted to make sure, because like, we're talking about what I'm going to be doing in my brokerage strategy for the bull run. And I don't want I couldn't let this go. So we had to have a little preface, a little primer, a little understanding of what's going on here. Crypto is in the New York Stock Exchange now. Bitcoin is specifically in the New York Stock Exchange now. Ethereum's going to be coming right behind it. And then probably right behind that, you're going to see XRP. Stuff's being used. Stuff has value. Places are using it. I understand boomers really don't look outside of this country, but crypto's global. It's not an American thing. It's not just us. It's not just our little tiny speck on this planet that we take up space on, that we believe is the only country in existence. This is global, sir. Now, moving forward, we're going to talk about what I'm doing during the bull run in my brokerage account. And I say that specifically because unlike the past 11 years, almost 12 years now, I have dollar cost average straight through no matter what. Whenever anyone asks me, like, yep, I'm buying every payday like clockwork. Now, once we are firmly set over the previous all-time high, I will stop dollar cost averaging into the cryptocurrency space. Why would you do that, Reckless Ray? Why? Like, you're a crypto guy, like you're an advocate. Like, you're 100% correct. I am a crypto guy. I'm going to always be a crypto bro, and I am an advocate. The caveat is I am so over leveraged in crypto, it's ridiculous. I don't just have 2 coins that are meme coins. I have a plethora of coins and projects that I'm involved in, and the majority of my net worth, I would say upwards of 85%. And that's including my house, which has been climbing, is in crypto. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to get that hedge. The other thing that I also want is I'm the type of person who I value my Bitcoin above basically everything else right now until some sort of metric or number changes. I don't believe that's going to happen. So while I have and I tell people this all the time, Bitcoin is my retirement. Like, I'm set. I'm good. I do not want to have to touch it. That's the next level game for me. So one of the things that I want in place is snapshotting my existence where it's at right now. Because I'm not Mr. Fane. I'm not trying to have a gigantic house to live in by myself and have it be super echoey all the time as though it's a spec home in a neighborhood. I don't want that. Like, that's not a goal for me. Like, I don't need to flex a big house. Cars, I do like. Not gonna lie. I like Mr. Fane's cars. Like, during his car, like when he got into it with Anton showed that he had the cars. I was like, bro, those cars are dope. I'm a car guy. Like, I actually am a car guy. Like, I like working on them. We used to go street racing back in the day, allegedly, supposedly, suspectfully. I've been in car scenes. Like, I like cars. So that is a thing, hobby. Like, I don't need like 10. I like having 2, maybe 3. But budgetarily, I just want to. I need a daily driver and something that's fun to drive. That's all I need. Like, that's going to make me good. As far as housing, though, like, I'm snapshotting my bare bricks expenses now, and I want a portfolio that is going to pay those expenses. And I want to be able to eat out of that before I have to touch my crypto. And then the crypto is the next level back. So what we're doing is I've converted my brokerage account, both of them. Like, I have a Roth that I work with. I've converted that over to that style of an account. It's going to be an income producing account. And I think I've got a pretty good mix. We're looking at 5 positions total. And I think I've got the order in which I'm going to do those also. Yeah. So also set out now. So the first one, and the reason being again is so that I don't have to touch the crypto that I've amassed. I don't want to have to touch my Bitcoin. I don't want to have to do any, like, if we're doing anything, I will be cardinal sin for the guru space. I will be using very low interest debt, because give it a little while. Once they start letting people leverage Bitcoin, those are going to be some very low interest loans. I know this because in 2020, I leveraged Bitcoin and the interest was like maybe 6%, maybe. And then moving forward, it became 0%. Now, obviously they're always going to have a some sort of way for the banks to stay relevant, but they issue low interest loans against portfolios now. It's how wealthy people move money around, and you just pay it back. So I'll also be able to do that if the goal for this specific portfolio is just going to be income based. And then once it's rolling, we can transition out of the daily grind, I guess, if you would. I don't know though. Like, I don't, like, it depends on where I'm living. Like, that's the other thing. It's like, do I need to live in the US? Going to be exploring some other stuff. Like, we're planning on going to Puerto Rico this year to take a look at that. Might be out way sooner, because depending on what the cryptocurrency space does over this bull run, it might be advantageous to just take the hit, take my profits, set up the portfolio the way that I want it to, and just completely finish it out, and then just, rock out off dividends. But that's the goal. Now we're gonna talk about the first position, and this is one that no one's talking about yet. So I want you to understand, you heard it here on Future Financial Strategies first. They are keeping this from you. Shout out to the homie Razik. I've been keeping this under wraps. We gave it to the family over at Circa 84. If you are interested in taking your investments to the next level, tap in with us over at Circa 84. We got people that are actually active in this market, a few stock pickers, if you would, wholesale real estate, crypto. We're having deep conversation and actual strategy. But this one we've had since the launch of the ETFs. It's been long enough. I'm ready to start talking. Everybody who is anybody to me that's in my inner circle knows about these plays. The first one that we're going to talk about is the position that we're currently working. When I start showing the portfolio, the brokerage account, this is all that's in there. This is all that's in there. And this is a good chunk of my 401k portfolio. The Roth doesn't have anything in it. Again, way back when, probably about, I think it was like probably like 2017, 2018, something like that, like after the crash. I emptied out all my retirement accounts, which I'm sure everybody's going to be like, oh, that's crazy. And it's like, only if I'm planning on working until I'm 60 and then having to rely on the failure funds. But I can also just live off of my ledger. Like, it's what it is. But we'll see how that plays out. But that was the play that I wanted to make. So I made it. Also, I'm building out my brokerage account at a faster clip than I am the Roth, because I'd just like to have access to the funds as soon as the account hits the amount of money it needs, because I don't really see the point in needing the Roth or my 401k if I'm actively producing dividends that I can just have access to, because then I don't have to go to work if I don't want to, and I can take days off and I still get paid every month. I really don't understand why there's a prioritization if you're trying to transition to a state where you don't have to work outside of the free money, which is why I'm doing my 401k at work. But like, I throw a little bit of change in the Roth just to keep it moving. But I don't see the point. Like, I'm like, every single penny, if you're trying to transition out of working, should be going to set up an account that pays for your expenses so that you don't have to work. That just sounds logical to me. Oh, taxes, like it's 22%. Just take it out of the dividends and just don't spend all the money. Like, what are we talking about? That doesn't make sense. You got 1 month where they take a swath of the money back. Okay. It's like 1 month. Like you can't chill for 1 month. Like I just the stuff that they do to keep you guys continuing to go to these jobs is wild to me. That it works. Like nobody thinks about this stuff. But this is going to be my first and predominant position. Something I'm super excited about. It's called YBTC. It's a Bitcoin covered call ETF strategy. Now, what do they do? They play the futures markets for both Bitcoin and Ethereum, both of which are going to be doing very well over this bull run. Why did I pick this? Because it pays a dividend. Got the distribution yield up here. Total is 39.73%, which people are going to be like, that's not sustainable. It's not real. The 30-day SEC yield is 3.38%. It makes distributions on a monthly basis. These current early positions, I am looking at positions that are going to pay monthly. These are going to be overweighted positions. What I'm doing is I'm looking at building these positions out to a certain metric. So for this position, I'm planning on buying it up until it hits about $250 a month. In that range, I will start utilizing the dividend from this, not to reinvest in the dividend. I manually redistribute my dividends. I do stuff a lot different than your gurus or what's recommended, but it's the way that my brain functions, and I'm pretty good at it when it comes to numbers, money, and systems. Like, it's kind of my jam. Outside of the career that I have, where I don't touch money or systems, because your boy did not go to school. Fortunately, we live in a system where dummies can be rich. Go me. And we're on the way. So what we're doing is we're getting this to 250, and I kind of do like a waterfall method, which I actually learned from Dave Ramsey. It's just I utilize it way different than like what he's talking about, because we definitely utilize debt over here to expand wealth. I do not use debt to buy things I don't need. I do not use debt to flex for you guys on YouTube. I use debt to acquire more assets, more or less, or allow myself to get more money in the market. More on that later. But the reason that I chose this over just the straight Bitcoin ETF is because it produces income. So this portfolio in my brokerage account, I am going to start delineating my brokerage accounts out. This one specifically is focused income. It's just going to produce money. It will produce money that'll get transferred over to the other accounts as the time comes. But first and foremost, we're trying to cover all the bills with this account and go from there. Now, this position, so at 250, we'll start kicking it over and buying the next position. Up until then, we're going to just keep rolling this into itself. I will be placing the buy manually. I don't like setting up the drip because then I have to remember to turn the drip off. Plus, this forces me at the end of the month when that money hits to get into my brokerage account and actually look at things and sort stuff around. It's kind of like I have 1 day a week that I do my crypto reallocations, which forces me to get into all my crypto accounts, figure out where the money's at, move it around, reallocate it. Also gives me an opportunity to check for airdrops, which is great. That's crypto portfolio strategy talk, though. If you are interested in getting into the weeds in crypto, tap in with me over on Crypto Portfolio Updates, because that show's going to be getting wild as the bull run goes. But I chose this because I wanted exposure to Bitcoin. Obviously, I am an advocate for the space. I'm a big believer in the space, and I know what it's going to do. But I think this is going to be a sleeper in regards to people that are looking to produce income in their portfolios. So before all the dividend guys get to it, you heard it here first. You heard it after Circa 84, because I normally try to give them a few months head start on things because they pay to talk to me. So again, I got my referral link down in the description. Definitely tap in with us if you're interested. I will be putting all of these links for these in the news section of the description down below. So the second position, because I use this, like we're currently over $100 collectively in dividend yields, which means that between my Roth and my front end, just my individual brokerage account, we're over $100. This is the second month. When we did the cash out last month in February, we broke $100 just barely. And that was good considering I had to move all the money over to Charles Schwab from my regular individual brokerage account from Citibank, who lost my business. Again, values. They're standing on business. I'm standing on business. They're fired. But with that said, we got it over there and we eked out $101 in dividends. So like that's our starting point. So it's going to be interesting to see what March looks like, because I'm going to have a couple of buys in. We're going to be adding some more YBTC. We've got a little bit more money going. Like my goal is, and I think where this should shake out with how much of a position I have, is I should be darn close to YBTC producing $100 in and of itself in a month this month. I think we should be close. But at 250, we shift over and we start the waterfall. So that's going to be my metric. We're going to keep running the YBTC up to 500 before we spill it out, and then start looking at the next position, because at $500 a month, that's going to be enough. I don't know. Actually, we might just do the waterfall indefinitely and just keep funneling my money into this position while it pays the other positions. But at 250, I'm going to stop reinvesting the dividend back into YBTC, and it'll go into the next position. Next position is my old initial position when I originally started trying to set this up, and that is QYLD. Now, that's a NASDAQ 100 covered call ETF, and what they do is they do covered calls. And I like this because it gives me exposure to active trading in the market without me having to active trade. They're doing covered calls. Covered calls generally work out one way or the other, but usually there's growth on both ends of it. It's just one side of that trade is better than the other, in my opinion, from what I understand of covered calls. But this way, I don't have to do it, because I don't have time to do that and be focused in on crypto, because believe it or not, passive income is a lot of work, and I'd rather manage my ETFs and deal with these 5 positions than do what I'm doing with crypto, where I'm like in the space. I'm constantly reading. I have to keep updated on like what's going on with stuff. Like I need something that's semi set and forget that I can check at the end of the month. That's what I'm going for here. But I also want the added benefit of things that are just focused income for the first 2 positions, because these positions are going to pay for the subsequent positions. Now, QYLD, I will be looking at probably getting this position to 200, because this doesn't pay out near, like the rest of these positions don't pay out near as well as YBTC. Just what it is. Now, moving forward, obviously, you're going to have to keep stacking these, but this portfolio is probably going to be YBTC heavy, just because of the way that the market dynamics are, especially over the bull run. Like I'm going to end up with a lot of that position, and that position is going to buy a lot of every subsequent position. But we're going to be looking at getting this one. The goal for this one And this is just the initial rollout, is to get this to $250 kicking out passively. Now, the issue is, as I scale down this list, it gets more expensive in regards to like buying the amount that you're going to have to buy to get the amount out of it. But it'll also give us a healthy portfolio. Like the portfolio size is going to be good. Now, after this gets to 250, it'll spill over, right? And then the next position is going to be NUSI. Now, this is Nationwide NASDAQ 100 Risk Managed Income ETF. This position, I'm only going to get to probably $100 because it's such a, like, it's gonna, like, to get it to 100, probably like $160, like $100, $160, something like that. 150, $150. But it's just like, as I'm scaling through here and I'm looking at what the dividend payout is, I'm like, man, that position's going to require a good amount of money. And then I've got two positions that I want spitting out around $100. And the next, those are going to be kind of more stable. Like, these are the OG positions. And I might actually, so the goal is to get both of these positions to $100. Cause like if I got 500, that's 750, 850. So that'll get me to $1,000 a month almost after this is done. And if I add $1,000 a month, basically, I should be able to filter this out to where like that will scale up, provided nothing's wrong. I think honestly at $100 a month would pique my interest, but once I get that YBTC position of $500 a month, and I got $500 a month coming in to that, I mean, those are bills. Like now I'm at bills, like $1,000 a month. I know that worst case scenario, I can cover my mortgage darn near indefinitely to pay this house off. Like I can start, if I want to, I can start just moving money like that and just start paying principals. Like I got a money. The deal is we're trying to get that money machine set up. And as we're moving through here, like I don't want it to be all risky stuff. QYLD's been working for me though. I've had that for over a year, but like I wasn't really focused on my brokerage accounts. I was just throwing money in there and I just throw it in the QYLD and it'd start kicking out money. And like, it was good deal. Like they had a good month. I had a good month. They didn't have a good month. It was just kind of little bit of a flat month, but that position in and of itself kind of got me understanding how some of this might work. But the YBTC is going to hypercharge things over the next 12 to 24 months, and I'm excited about that. So now we're getting into my stables. The Noble, it's the S&P 500 Dividend Aristocrats ETF. Now these are big dogs. These are big dogs right here. And you know, you're getting growth, you're getting dividends. Like this one's working out, and so I'm gonna look at it very closely. Like this is gonna be the first of my big dogs. Pays out, it's good fund. Little bit on actually it's not a little bit on the pricey side after we get the waterfall going. So by the time it gets to this, it should be able to just start gobbling it up. Another pro shares fund. By the by, when the Bitcoin ETFs first came out, I did buy ProShares Bitcoin ETF. Not going to lie. Credit where credit's due. They did the work. They got it passed. I went ahead and showed some support. And then once I found a way to make it into an income play, we dropped those shares, converted them over, and we've been running ever since. Now, the last one is one that the dividend guys are always talking about. It's the Charles Schwab Dividend Equity ETF, SCHD. I don't really have to say much about this. This is a good, stable fund. Like these are just staples. Everybody's got it. Everybody's talking about retiring off of SCHD. Now, these last two are interesting in the sense that, like, you know, like, it's not all risk. It's like I got my 3 that are workhorses that I'm like, hey, like these are kicking off, should be kicking off some good dividends, and they're working in the markets. And then I followed them up with 2 that are little less of a little less volatility, lower dividend percentage, and you know, I like it though. Like, actually, this is matching YBTC, but like YBTC pays out a lot, a lot more, it seems. Because yeah, this one only pays out quarterly, which is also going to be something that's going to be interesting considering this position doesn't pay out monthly. There might be a another position. I might squeeze in one more monthly one just so that way I don't know, because as long as I'm at about $1,000 before we get to SCHD, then like we can make that work. We can do it. We can do it. Hold on. For 2023. Oh my God. Because yeah, Noble pays out quarterly too. So yeah, I'm gonna have to get 3. I'm gonna have to pick out another position to get in here that also pays out monthly, or I got to kick my numbers up on this because this would be 5, 750. Yeah, I'm just gonna get more YBTC. I mean, look at me. I'm a crypto bro, dude. Like, just degenerate at heart. I'm just gonna stack. I'll make it $1,000 and I'll just have extra YBTC. And that's what we're gonna do. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I hope you guys got some value out of my strategy for my brokerage account for the Bitcoin bull run. It's gonna be interesting. So I couldn't see myself not having exposure, but I am very thankful for the creativity, because I mean, capitalism, it's one of the beautiful things. Like, where there's a will, there's a way. And like, once those ETFs came through, the very next thing that came through, they were like, how can we make some income off this? And I'm here for it. I am here for it. And when we get the Ethereum ETF, I'm sure they'll come up with something else. And then when we get the XRP, they're going to come up with something else. And I'll keep adding it into my portfolio. And it's adding another level of exposure, but it's like tempered exposure. Like, I understand it's tied into the cryptocurrency space, which kind of isn't hedging, but the rest of the portfolio is. And then down the line, like when I get to the next portfolio that I'll do after this is rolling, is I'll start rolling over into a stock portfolio. And the stock portfolio is going to have some picks in there of stuff that are just staples, but it's gonna be individual things, and I'll probably have like a market index fund in that portfolio. But this initial one is something to retire out of, and I will figure out, like I said, it's gonna be my core expenses plus enough for me to continue investing. And then, you know, I'll have that in place in front of the stuff that I'm doing in the cryptocurrency space, so that I don't ever have to sell any of my crypto stuff. And then, you know, you just keep building, stacking, and living a good life. And then we get some Richard Fain cars, and then I start telling people on YouTube that whatever the next thing is bad, and that it's going to go to zero because I didn't do it right because I'm a degenerate. Anyways, it's your boy Reckless Raider Nero, and up until the next time, we'll see you next week. Remember, bag fortification Fridays. Make good moves with your money, people, because we only have so much time left, and I want to make sure that everybody in the Wolf Pack gets their piece of this wealth transfer, because no one's going to give it to you. You're going to have to take it. It's your boy, Reckless Raider Nero, and I'm out. Peace.